the masked people, really. It's great to see you all. How about a big mazel tov for our bar mitzvah, Lily? Mazel tov, mazel tov. And how about for Mom and Dad and Aaron? Big mazel tov? There you go. It's wonderful to see you all. So we're going to have a lovely Friday evening, and we're glad you're with us. The smaller, brighter red books are all the ones you need tonight. The pamphlets are there, and it's wonderful to have family and friends. And we hope you'll enjoy yourselves, and we shall be safe and healthy and enjoy a beautiful Shabbat together, and it's just great to have everybody here. Okay. I think when I'm all alone, I'll take this off a little bit. I don't believe I'm sick, and I'm pretty sure, but you'll be able to hear me better. Okay, great. Max, how we doing? Good? All ready to rock? Max is our technician, roadie, sound man in the back, doing a great job, and with everybody else. So please join along. Bim bam, bim 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 bam, bim 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 bam, bim bam, bim 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 bam, bim 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 bam. Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat 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 shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shalom. Shabbat, Shalom. Shabbat, Shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shalom. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Great to see you. Take a minute, would you, if you have a cell phone or something might ring, turn it off, so we're not disturbed during Shabbat. And now we're going to invite you to turn to page 5 in your Sidurim. Page 5. And we'd like to invite our bat mitzvah, Lily. Come forward with Mom and Dad. Oh, wait, go back. You left a few. Bring Mom and Dad. Bring Aaron with you. You guys are all going to come up here in the middle. And we're going to turn to page 5. And on page 5 is Shalom Aleichem, as we welcome the Shabbat spirit into our lives on this beautiful, beautiful Shabbat. Ready? Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharei, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim HaKadosh, Baruch Hu. Boachem l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim HaKadosh, Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu ni l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim HaKadosh, Baruch Hu. Tzeitchem l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim HaKadosh, Baruch Hu. And Shalom Aleichem to us all, which means peace to you and welcome to you on this beautiful Shabbat when we celebrate the beautiful Simcha of Lily's Bar Mitzvah. Mazel tov, guys. You guys can have a seat. Lily, stay right there. We're going to turn in our Sidurim to page 14. 14, second paragraph, red arrow. Yismechu Hashamayim, Yismechu Hashamayim, Yismechu Hashamayim, v'tagel haaretz, yismechu hashamayim, hashamayim, yismechu hashamayim, hashamayim, yismechu hashamayim, v'tagel haaretz, yiram hayam, yiram hayam, yiram hayam, umelo, yiram hayam, yiram hayam, yiram hayam, umelo. We're turning ahead to page 21. And the last two lines from Psalm 29 is a prayer and a bracha I want to offer for our bat mitzvah and for us all. Adonai Ozli Emo Yitein, Adonai Yivarech Atamo Shalom. Lily this Shabbat and every Shabbat, may you be blessed with peace and with strength, with health, all great things, you and all of us together. Amen. Now we're going to turn to page 23 because we've got to welcome the Sabbath Queen, and we're going to do so by singing Lecha Dodi. So we're going to sing the first three and the last two stanzas, and it all begins at the top of 23, Lecha Dodi. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, penei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, penei Shabbat nekabela. Penei Shabbat nekabela.
Likrat Shabbat lehu v'necha, ki makor habracha, merosh mikeden nesuka, zalmaz b'machshavah tila. Lecha Dodi
likrat kala, penei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, penei Shabbat nekabela.
Mikdash melech ir melucha, kum tzeim etofecha v'cha, ram lashevet be'emecha becha, v'chu yakamol ala yichem la. Lecha
Dodi likrat kala, penei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, penei Shabbat nekabela. Page 25, the middle verse.
Yamin usmo tifrati, be'et Adonai taritzi, al yad ish ben parti, v'nismecha v'nagila. Lecha
Dodi likrat kala, penei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, penei Shabbat nekabela. We invite you to rise. Page 25, the last verse. We face the door for Lecha Dodi.
Bo'i v'shalom ater ba'ala, gam b'simcha u'metzolcha, tog emunei am segula, bo'i kala. Lecha
Dodi likrat kala, penei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, penei Shabbat nekabela. You may be seated. Shabbat shalom, everybody. The Sabbath bride is with us, so the Sabbath spirit is all here, and we're all ready to celebrate this fine Shabbat day. So on page 28, a song from the Psalm for Shabbat, Psalm 92. It's at the red arrow in the middle of 28. Sadi katamar yifrach yifrach. Sadi katamar yifrach. Sadi katamar yifrach yifrach. Sadi katamar yifrach. Ke'erez balvanon yiske. Ke'erez balvanon yiske. Ke'erez balvanon yiske yiske. Ke'erez balvanon yiske. Ke'erez balvanon yiske. Ke'erez balvanon yiske yiske. We should all grow as the psalm sings. It tells us, like the cedars in Lebanon, tall and strong and courageous. Another wish for you, Lily, and for us all. So now, if you're sitting next to people, you're comfortable putting your arms around them. In this time of pandemic, we choose our friends and family carefully and wisely. If you want to, we're going to invite you to join us in the singing of Hinei Ma Tov, how good it is to be together to celebrate this beautiful Shabbat. Hinei Ma Tov Manayim Shevet Achim Gam Yachad. Hinei Ma Tov Manayim Shevet Achim Gam Yachad. Hinei Ma Tov Shevet Achim Gam Yachad. Hinei Ma Tov Shevet Achim Gam Yachad. Hinei Ma Tov Manayim Shevet Achim Gam Yachad. Hinei Ma Tov Manayim Shevet Achim Gam Yachad. How good it is to be together, to celebrate Shabbat and the simchas of our lives. We want to invite you to turn to page 39. 39A, for those who would like to rise to begin the Mariv evening service, we do so for Baruch, page 39. Baruch et Adonai Hamivarach. Baruch Adonai Barach Le'olam Vahed. Baruch Adonai Barach Le'olam Vahed. You may be seated. The light rolls away before the darkness, and then the dark before the coming day. These are the cycles of our lives. May we enjoy the blessings that come to us, both by day and by night. Bless you, O Lord, who brings on the evening dusk, so we can celebrate this Shabbat together. Amen. We turn to page 40, and 5 lines from the bottom in the Hebrew. We sing Kihem Chayenu to celebrate the place of Torah and learning in mitzvot in our lives. Kihem Chayenu, V'yorech Yameinu, Ovahem Nege Yomam V'layla. Kihem Chayenu, V'yorech Yameinu, Ovahem Nege Yomam V'layla. Kihem Chayenu, V'yorech Yameinu, Ovahem Nege Yomam V'layla. Kihem Chayenu v'yorech yameinu u'bahem neged yomam v'layla. May we rejoice in the Torah and in doing mitzvot all the days of our lives. Page 41, our Bar Mitzvah leads us in Shema Yisrael.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavecha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol megadecha v'chayu ha'dvarim ha'ela asher nahita levavecha hayom name of the one whose glorious sovereignty is forever and ever. You shall love Adonai your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all that is yours. These words that I command you this day shall be taken to heart. Teach them again and again to your children. Speak of them when you sit in your home, when you walk on your way, when you lie down, and when you rise up. Bind them as a sign upon your hand and as a symbol above your eyes. Inscribe them upon the doorposts of your home and on your gates.
Beautiful. Page 42. The next two paragraphs of the Shema are on our own. My mother to Michelle Moore. These words don't come. And the last three words of the Shema, Adonai Elohechem Emet. Page 44, second paragraph. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi chamocha nedar b'kodesh, norati lod Osei Malchutecha Ravanecha Bokei Yam Lifnei Moshe Zeli Anu V'Amru Adonai Yimlo Leolam Vahed V'Nemar Kifad Adonai Et Yaakov U'Galo Miyad Chazak Mimenu Baruch At Adonai Gal Yisrael. Page 45. Hashkivenu is a prayer for peace. We ask Ufros Aleinu Sukat Shalomecha. Dear God, may you spread over us the canopy of your peace. May we be inspired to do what we can to protect others, to bring them peace, bring them love, safety, and protection, and always to do it for ourselves too. Baruch atah Adonai, grace Sukat Shalom, Aleinu v'al kol amo Yisrael, v'al Yerushalayim, v'al kol ha'olam. Amen. Blessed are you, O Lord, who spreads the canopy of peace over us, over all the people of Israel, over Jerusalem, and over all the world. Amen. Page 46, we continue to celebrate Shabbat as Lily leads us in the Shamru.
Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat lasot et ha-Shabbat l'dor dabarit olam v'nei Yisrael oti li'olam oti li'olam oti li'olam Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat Lasot et ha-Shabbat l'dor dabarit olam. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et ha-shemayim et ha-shemayim v'et ha'aretz. V'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat. Lasot et ha-Shabbat l'dor dabarit olam. Uven yom ha-shivat Shabbat vayinavash, Shabbat vayinavash, Shabbat vayinavash.
V'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat lasot et ha-Shabbat l'dor dabarit olam.
Yitkedah v'yitkedah Shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
V'yamak v'yivrak Yerutei v'yamlik makutei.
V'chayechon u'vyomechon u'v'layedecho Beit Yisrael ba'adam Bishman Karim.
Ve'imaru.
Amen. Yeshmei Rabba Megorah. Yavanu Amel Maya. Yevara.
Yifara, V'yishtava, V'yifa'ar, V'yikromam, V'yinaseh, V'yitadar, V'yitalev, V'yitala. Shemei Kedusha. Le'elam, Mikol Shirata, Tushtragata.
V'nefemata.
Dami Ramehama, V'imaru.
Amen. Page 47. We invite the congregation to rise for the individual Amidah for Friday night, Erev Shabbat, 47. When you're finished the Amidah, you may be seated. Page 51, right in the middle, the first of two songs of peace. This is Shalom Rav. May great peace descend upon us. Shalom Rav, Al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Li'olam. Shalom Rav, Al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Li'olam. Ki atahu Melech Adon, Lechol HaShalom. Ki atahu Melech Adon lechol HaShalom. Shalom Rav Al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Li'olam. Shalom Rav Al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Li'olam. Tasim Li'olam. We wish everybody the gift of peace. Amen. And for our second song of peace, we will invite Lily to come back with Aaron, and together they're going to lead us in Oseh Shalom, which is, a lot of you know the words, but it's on page 52 at the bottom.
Shalom Aleinu, ve'akol Yisrael, ve'imeru, imru, amen. Yaseh shalom,
Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'akol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh Shalom. Shalom Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom. Yaseh Shalom. Shalom Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom. Yaseh Shalom. Shalom Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom. Yaseh Shalom. Shalom Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael.
Amen.
Amen. Perfect. Great ending. Okay, guys, you can sit down. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Good to see you all. In the Torah, you all know that we just recently started it all over again. Simchas Torah about a month or so ago, and we finished the Torah, and now we started again. There are 54 weekly parshiot, and we're going to read them pretty much one at a time every week, sometimes two. So 4 weeks ago was the beginning, Breshit, Genesis, creation. 2 weeks ago, famous story about a man in his boat, Noah, the ark. We all know the story. Last week we started the Jewish part of the Torah. First Jewish couple, Abraham and Sarah, and how they followed an invitation by God to set out and to start a new people in search of a new homeland, a new tradition, and it went pretty well. 4,000 years later, here we are. Their descendants celebrating Judaism all over the world every Shabbat, and a beautiful tradition it is for so many of us. And now this week we're at Parshat Vayera, which is the fourth portion. Vayera means he appeared, and there's some fascinating stories in the Torah this week. The appearance of 3 strangers to Abraham and Sarah that announce, among other things, the upcoming birth of Isaac, whose name will be Laughter, because the parents laughed when they heard they would get a child so late in life. Then we have at the end the very famous story of the Akedat Yitzchak, where God asked Abraham, right after the birth of Isaac, to sacrifice his son. And that highly dramatic scene. And we read it every second day of Rosh Hashanah. And according to most people, the narrative goes well. Isaac gets spared, and we have another generation, second generation of Jews after Abraham, leading up to today. But in chapter 18 of Genesis, there's this fascinating story and this amazing dialogue. And a lot of you know this story. If I would say to you, 2 cities, Sodom and Gomorrah, who knows what I'm talking about? Beautiful. 2 evil cities, according to the tradition, filled with evil people, and God said, we're going to do away with the cities. There's just so much evil there, we're going to destroy them. And then God says, am I going to tell Abraham I'm doing that or not? And Abraham finds out, and everything about the story is fascinating in terms of religion and the brit, the covenant we have with God, and the relationship with God, and what God does, what Abraham does. It's all fascinating, especially to a lot of other people. Jews understand it more, because we understand talking to each other. We certainly understand talking to God. Jews have been doing it since the beginning of time. I'm sure a lot of you have seen Fiddler on the Roof. Tevi spends half the movie talking to God, right? So we talk to God. We believe God talks to us. Torah is God talking to us, and every day, new revelations, new thoughts. So we have this give and take, and we understand it. And it's often very honest, brutal, and frank. So Abraham says to God, wait a minute. You're going to destroy 2 cities? So how could you do that? Said, you're teaching me to be a righteous person, and I'm having a hard time believing that those cities are filled with evil people. Somehow, our lovely city, Philadelphia, seems to be filled with evil people during this election. Terrible things are happening in Philadelphia to vote. We're ruining it all. That's what I heard on the news. I didn't know that. But it says, really? You're going to destroy 2 entire groups of people? There's got to be good people there. Could you possibly destroy the innocent with the wicked? So right away there is a great departure from religion, because we talk back to God. And a lot of religions, that's verboten, the last thing you would ever do. Talk back to God, challenge God, question God, challenge the clergy, the leadership. You just listen and follow. As if that's not miraculous enough, God's response is also noteworthy. God listens to Abraham. God could have said, think about it, every time you talk back to your parents, they don't always say, you know, I think you got a good point. I'm going to buy you a new car. Yeah, I think you're right. God could have said, Abraham, you're talking to me? You're arguing with me? I'm God. Did you forget who you're talking to? How about if I destroy you with a lightning bolt? How about if I do a million things to you and your family? None of this happens. God doesn't say to him, Abraham, why don't you just shut up? You don't hear that? And God doesn't say to Abraham what God says to Job later in the Bible. When Job says pretty much God, the question we all wonder since time immemorial, why do bad things happen to good people? God pretty much says to Job at the end of the book, you can read it, chapter 40, says, Job, if you were me and you knew what I knew, you'd know. But you can't know. People can't know everything in the way the world works. And things happen, and you don't always know and understand. Doesn't say that to Abraham either. Instead, he says this. He says, Abraham, you got a point. I'm trying to teach you to be righteous. I guess if there's righteous people there, we won't destroy them. You're right. Amazing. Imagine divinity says to humanity, you're right. And then God takes a step further. Says, I'll tell you what, Abraham. You find me 50 righteous people among all those sinners in Sodom and Gomorrah. Not only will I save them, but moreover, what will I do? Everybody know the narrative? I'll save everybody. I'll spare them all. And that is a huge Jewish value and a concept that a little goodness goes a long way and a few good people save the world. So it's not just like saving the good. It's like for their sake, everybody would be saved. Wow. Abraham, all of a sudden he's in the driver's seat. Wow. Look what I did. God's listening to me. God told me to do this for me. Wow. All of a sudden, Abraham loses a little smugness. Goes, you know what? I know those people down there. I think I bit off more than I could chew. 50 righteous people, you might be right. I'm not sure. But I'll bet we could find 45. And again, God comes back and says, you find 45, we'll save them all. By the way, if you don't believe me, take that big red book, look at Genesis 18. The story I'm telling you is right there, black and white. Abraham continues the dialogue. Says, God, you know what? 45 could be a challenge too. How about 40? At no time does God say, Abraham, you're wasting my time. Enough already, you know? He says, okay, 40. And then he says 30. And he says 20. And Abraham comes back one more time. He says, what if we find, what's the last number? Nope, no. Who said 1? Who said 1? Jake? Hold on to that. Because I wrote a song about that, and I'm going to play it for you now. But it's not 1. The last number? Guys, first of all, you know, this was an open book test. Did you ever go to school? They say you can open your book. You go, nah, it's okay. I'll make it hard. The last number is 10. Abraham says, right? Did you get that, Lex? 10? Where'd he go?
I'm sorry, I was just like thinking about the negotiation tactics of Abraham.
That's okay.
And I have 2 children that do that.
I'm sure they do. We all do. And you're the mother of the bar mitzvah. You got to pass all weekend, so don't worry about it. You can't do anything wrong. Abraham says, what about 10? By the way, that's one of 2 places in the Torah where we learn the concept of minyan. 10, a basic group. 10 you need. 10 to pray. 10 people. God says, Abraham, sake it 10. I'll save them all. After that, conversation's over. So, I'm afraid to think how long it's been. I think it's been 13 years. But 13 years ago, I wrote my first musical record, and it's called Tales from the First Book, and it's based on the stories of Genesis. And for a long time, I was wondering about the question that Jake, you brought up. And finally, there was a song there, and I wrote it, and it's on the record. I'm going to play for it tonight. If Abraham's whole goal is to say righteous people shouldn't die with wicked, you just shouldn't kill everybody, then what's the important part? That righteous people don't suffer. And that's not a matter of numbers. If there's 1 million, if there's 1, Righteous people shouldn't be punished for things they didn't do. We deal with that every day in the world. People are dying from corona. Good people. Tragedy. People die from all sorts of things. Good people. We're hearing stories left and right on the news about people who died and how they were helpers and caretakers and mothers and fathers, and we mourn, you know? If Abraham's whole concern was to say that righteous people shouldn't die, there shouldn't have been a limit on that. Shouldn't have been 10. 10 righteous people we should save. 9, forget them. Single digits, waste of my time. So that's what I wondered about. And I wondered why Abraham stopped at 10. And now I'm going to play the song for you. Because it seems there's something missing there. That conversation should have kept going. But it doesn't. And there's reasons why, I think, why it stopped there. Because whenever we have a question about the Torah, we look at the Midrash, or rabbis ask, or we ask, like, why didn't this happen, or what does that mean, or how come this wasn't said or done? So we have some answers. And but in the meantime, it bothered me why the end of that story was 10. Because it seemed like the job wasn't done yet. So I wrote this song, and it's called Did You Ever Wonder Why? And Lily, we're going to dedicate it to you for your bat mitzvah. Lily, there's not a whole lot of live concerts these days, so enjoy, right? And everybody. And after that, if we want to try to give an answer to why Abraham might have stopped arguing or what was going on at the end, we could talk about it. But this is Did You Ever Wonder Why? Did you ever wonder why? Did you ever wonder why? When God marked the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah and set out to destroy all the people who lived there, Abraham stood up for the people of the cities and dared to save the lives of the people who live there. Abraham did ask the God of his faith, will you destroy the wicked with the righteous who live there? Did you ever wonder why? Did you ever wonder why? When Abraham defended Sodom and Gomorrah and sought to save the cities for the righteous who live there, and argued for the sake of the 50 righteous people, or the 45 or 40 of the good people living there, for the 30 or the 20 of the fine and goodly people, for the sake of the 10 good people living there. Did you ever wonder why? Did you ever wonder why? So why did Abraham stop at 10 righteous people? Did he not think to care for the 9 who could be there? What about the 8 or the 7 saintly people, or the 6 or the 5 of the good people living there, for the 4 or the 3 or the 2 righteous people, for the sake of one good person who could be living there? Did you ever wonder why? Did you ever wonder why? Did you ever wonder why? That's Did You Ever Wonder Why? There it is. So, thank you. Thanks. So, I was always bothered by that. You know? What about 9? If you were one of those 9, you'd want someone sticking up for you. Any ideas why we didn't go down to 1 or further? Lex, what do you think?
Well, it's an open book test.
Yes, it is.
Okay, so basically a round number that symbolizes totality. 10 is the number of adults who can constitute the minimum effective social entity. Abraham had reached the limit of the ability of righteous individuals to outweigh the cumulative evil of a community. There's more description down here, but I won't.
Do you agree with that?
It's a minion. I guess you can't start a community with one individual, but you can start one with 10. I don't know why he picked 10, but there it is.
All right, first of all, can we give Alexis a hand for opening the book and teaching us something? Really. Way to go. Proud of you. Alexis, that concept, I believe, is the cart after the horse. Before we had Minion, before we had the sense of community, before we had the definitions of a community, and the Talmud talks about that. A number of us are studying Daf Yomi, a Talmudic page a day, and it's talking about sizes of cities and how many people define a city or a community, a thoroughfare. First you have the story. And the story says, Abraham said 10, God said 10, story's over. So later, I think, comes the concept of minion. There's 2 places. Anybody know? Also open book test. You got to turn to the book of Numbers for this one. Where the second citation of 10 people is, that's famous in the Torah. It's in the book of Numbers. It's a famous story. Has something to do with a group of people called the 12 spies. Does that sound familiar? It's okay if it doesn't. I'll be happy to tell you. Are they what? Russian? No, this is before Russia, I think. Back in biblical days, you know? In the book of Numbers, it says as the people were approaching the promised land, the people wanted to know what they were getting into. Like, what we're going to find there. Is it good land or bad land? All these questions. So Moses said, well, God said it's good, but you want to find out for yourself? It's a big lesson that week, the things we have to learn for ourselves, regardless of what everybody else tells you. They sent 1 spy from each of 12 tribes. 12 tribes, 4, 4, 4, right? There they are on the wall. 1 spy from each of 12 tribes to go check out the land. And we're told that they come back, and all 12 agree that the land is a land flowing with milk and honey. And they bring back that big bunch of grapes that you've seen on a stave over the shoulder of 2 of the spies. Those are Caleb and those are Yefuneh. And that is the sign of the Kedem Wine Company. And it is also the sign of Israel's Ministry of Tourism. The 2 spies that go to the land and they bring back the goodness. But after the 12 agree to that, it seems that 10 get together and they tell everybody, it's a good land, but no way we should go there. We're not going to be able to take it. It's fortified. The people there live behind walled cities. They're strong. We were little, they were big. We were small, they were tough. And it ain't going to happen. So it's not a positive group of 10, but it's a group of 10 that's banded together for a common purpose to distract the people and dissuade them from going into the land. That's the second group of 10 that gives the basis for minion. Now, Alexis, coming back to you read. I'm really proud of you. You did great. In the land of Israel, there have been very zealous right-wing Jews who have wanted to claim all of the area for themselves, as there have been Palestinians and Arabs who want to claim the land all for themselves. You know that sharing and peace has been elusive, although some great things have happened recently, and we'll keep hoping and praying, but still it's been tough. So the West Bank has been an area where Palestinians often claim it's theirs, and there are Israelis who claim it's theirs. So what's one way to claim a piece of land? Most of us buy a house or rent an apartment, or you get a piece of paper that says this is ours. But throughout history, what did people do? They did it de facto. They went to the land and they sat down. They said, it's mine. I'm a settler. That's what I'm doing. It's mine. By possession, 9/10 of the law. There have been so many stories of right-wing Israeli zealots who said, we want the West Bank, it's ours. They would go to a barren piece of land and they would literally sit down. They'd put up a tent, a flashlight, little water, and they'd say, this is a Jewish community. See, we own this. And that's what they did. It would be one of them, a couple of them. There'd be like 3 people. And they said, this is our land. It's Israeli land. And the government and others are like, what are you talking about? It's not a city. It's not a minion, right? But that's how they tried to say the land belongs to us. We're here. We're here. What do you mean you're here? Look at my house. It's not a house. It's a sukkah. Look at my electrical bill. It's a flashlight hanging on a pole. But that's what they did. They argued it was their land, and we're here, and I know I don't have much, but I'm living here. And that's happened time and time again. And people defended them, and other people said, no, you got to move. This is not how we take the land. So the whole idea of 10, is interesting, because sometimes one person is a fact to be reckoned with. And we learned minyan, but I think it's the other way around. I don't think this established minyan. We learned it later. So Jake, you said something about 1 before. I think it was you. Anybody else, you want to get a shot? Why didn't Abraham argue to 1? I asked the question. Did you ever wonder why he didn't? There's a couple answers, I think. But the question's still there. If you were 1 of 9 people, I'll bet you're waiting for Abraham to argue. What about the 9? Perfect. We'll save them. Good. There's only 9. I'm one of them. What if you were 1? What if you were the one righteous person? What if you were Noah? What if God said I'm destroying the whole world? Noah, you're righteous, like Torah says, but forget it. I ain't got energy to save you. Everyone's getting destroyed. Might as well get rid of you too. No, Noah saves the world. It's a great lesson. One person could save a life, could save a world. Without Noah, we might not be here today. So why don't they argue to 1? Anybody ideas? It's a great question. Because if it's a matter of numbers, it's one thing. If it's a matter of numbers, then fine. You don't have 10, we don't have a minyan, we don't daven. And by the way, all of our congregants, you should know, we all the time, when we meet for services on Zoom, I used to count people, now I count screens, right? And just this morning, for example, we were shy. And I said, I want to hopefully get a minyan. People come join us because people want to say Kaddish, I want to do it. But we were shy. And thankfully, I know my people. And I said to one of them, I know your son and daughter's home. Put them in front of the TV for 10 minutes, will you? And they gladly came. They've come before. And we said Kaddish because we had a minyan. So we do go for 10. But what's the story with 1? Anybody? Why does he stop? Alexis?
Maybe because one person is always worth saving, and one person can always do good in the world, so why do you need more than one?
Right. Yeah, I agree with you. So why does Abraham say, what if there's one righteous person there? And what about 2 or 3?
Maybe he was greedy and
What?
Maybe he just said, like, I don't want to, maybe he didn't want to negotiate that far down. Maybe he just felt like he should at least not go lower than a random number, and so he didn't want to go lower because what if God said no?
All right. Alexis, you have performed admirably tonight. When I find my little gold stars, you get 2. Abraham, according to one midrash, was hesitant to continue the conversation. First of all, you all know when you're having a conversation with somebody and it's not always easy, you wonder when you should stop, right? Mom and Dad, can I go out? Mom and Dad, can I go out? Mom and Dad, can I go out? I might not want to ask the 4th time. First time they were okay. Now they look like they're getting ready to kill me. So you stop. Abraham was hesitant. And he was hesitant that maybe he was pushing God too much. Because think about it. If God is God is God, doesn't God know these things? He knows that the people are wicked. He knows there's not righteous people there because he wouldn't have destroyed them because he was teaching Abraham to be a righteous guy. So if there were righteous people there, 50, 100, or 1, God would have known. So Abraham at some point figures, maybe I won't push this because God knows. Then there's another midrash, which is such a shame, that Abraham realizes, you know what? I don't think there's any good people there. Because if there were, God would have said, very simply, Abraham, I'm destroying all the wicked people of Sodom and Gomorrah, and there's 15 good people, I'm going to get them out. So don't worry about them, but everybody else is getting it. Abraham, God doesn't say that. He says, I'm destroying the entire cities. So right away, he's like telling Abraham, there's nobody good there. There's a tradition that says, be careful where you live. If you live in a place that's filled with evil, don't expect your kids to grow up and be saints. They're going to learn from the streets. If you grow up where bad things are happening, expect your kids to be influenced by that. Be careful where you live, because it's a whole lesson right there. So the argument is that even if there were good people in Sodom and Gomorrah, they got caught up in the evil Sodom and Gomorrah, and they just weren't good anymore, you know? And then I think there's one more out of other stories that I'll just tell you, that it was a terrible point of embarrassment to be able to have God and Abraham conclude, how is it possible, all these people, there's not even one person worth it? It's like embarrassing. You know? Really? All these people, there's not like Noah, one worth saving? God saved Noah. God could have saved one person. Seems there's nobody. Turns out there are some righteous people. Who's righteous? Abraham's relatives. His nephew Lot. They're down there, and Abraham goes down, and he gets Lot and his family out, and they are saved. But Abraham doesn't ask for it, doesn't argue it. He just gets them out, and they're saved. But then the cities get destroyed, and that's a story for another time. So, Lily, I was so happy to play that song for you because it's about this Torah portion. I wrote it years ago, but I love the song. And I love the question because that's what Jews do. We ask questions. We ask questions. Wait a minute, Abraham, what do you stop talking to God for? What about 9 righteous people? What about 8? It's not there. So you got to ask, why not? And try to come up with some answers because that's how we study Torah. But also it's a great lesson about everybody counts and every person counts. And if there was only one righteous people, they would have been worth saving because 2 weeks ago, there was one righteous person in the world. His name was Noah, and he got saved. And if you're good and righteous, you don't want to be punished with the evil people. And, lest you think this is an ancient story, and I'll conclude with this, every week the Torah talks to us. Guys, what's happening in the country right now? So many people want every vote to be counted because it's their lives, it's their souls. Can you imagine if we said we're going to count all the votes but 100,000? Throw them out. I heard it, we all learn new verbiage these days. You can cure a vote. Did you hear that? That's if you don't sign it or date it. You go back, they said you could fix it. They called it curing the ballot. Ballot's sick, doesn't have your name on it. Go cure it. I never heard this before. But everybody counted. That's what everybody wants today. They want their votes to count. Whoever you're voting for. We want them all to count because we're a citizen and my vote counts as much as your vote and millions, and I want my vote to count. Everybody counts. And that's what I asked. How come 9 people didn't count? What happened to 8? We want us all to count. And if you can make people feel good and make everyone feel like they matter in your family and others, you make people feel better, you make the world a better place. What's everybody screaming for months? Black lives count. They matter. Immigrants count. Republicans count. Democrats count. Whatever it is, we all want to count. So we learn these great ethics from the Torah, and Abraham tried to argue for people and say that righteous people count, and we all count, and each one of us can be responsible for saving the world. So minyan is a great concept, but even without a minyan, our groups are beautiful. And everybody who's ever studied with me knows this. Sometimes I teach a class, as one person shows up. And they go, Rabbi, you don't have to waste your time. I go, waste my time? You're beautiful. You're a class. Let's learn. Everybody counts. I don't just teach classes with 10 or more or 100 or more, because we all count. And we all want to feel that, and we all have a responsibility to let others know that they count. Every person, every black person, every American, every vote. So everybody counts, and it's a great story to learn it from right here. So I'm happy to share that with you, and I hope you learned some good stories from the Torah reading this week. And Lily's going to share more with us tomorrow, right, Lil? Lil, they did tell you have to come back tomorrow, right? Okay. They didn't say this was a one-night deal, right? Right. There's a Saturday component to this thing, right? Lily, come on up, sweetheart. On page 55, Lily's going to, Lily, go get the Kiddush cup behind you. Lily's going to begin Kiddush, and then we'll all join her together for the second paragraph. For those of you who would like to stand on page 55 to honor Kiddush and the Sabbath day, real loud, Baruch atah Adonai, break off. Go ahead. Amen. Together, Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kishanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho, v'ahav chatzon hikilanu, zikarov l'maaseh bereshit, kihu yom tefillah, l'mikrah kodesh, zecher l'tziat Mitzrayim, kivanu v'acharta, v'yotanu v'idashta, v'kol ha'amim, v'shabbat kodecha, yava uvratzon, ichachanu, Baruch atah Adonai, mikadesh hashavat. Amen. Everybody wish Lily well. L'chaim. Beautiful. Lily, take that back to mom and dad and your brother. Share that goodness with them and your bar mitzvah day. And as Lily does that, we're going to continue in 56 with Aleinu. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon ha'kol v'atei k'dula li'otzer reishit shelo asanu b'goyei ha'ratzon v'lo samanu b'mishpachot ha'adama shelo sam chelkeinu kahem v'gor aleinu kechol hamonam v'anachnu korim u'mishtachavim u'modim Melech Malchei Amlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu V'nemar V'haya Adonai L'melech al kol haaretz Bayomahu Yeh Adonai Echad Ushemo Echad. Those who would like to remain standing to recite the Mourner's Kaddish, please do so. Everyone else may be seated. The sacred words of remembrance are on page 58. We live in a world where thousands have died of corona, and others in our family and friends, famous people we hear about all the time, people who died. Lots of people live on in memory and in our love. The sacred words of remembrance in 58, Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, bi'alama divra girutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon v'yomechon uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uv'izman kariv v'imaru amen. Yehei Shmei Rabba Mivorach Leolam Ulomeo Maya Yitbarach V'yishtabach V'yitpar V'yitromam V'yitnaseh V'yitadar V'yitaleh V'yitalal Shmei Dekudsha B'richu Le'ela Mikol Birchata V'shirata Tushbechata V'nechamata Da miran bi'alama v'imaru amen. Yehei Shloma Rabba Min Shemaya V'chayim Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael V'maru Amen. Oseh Shalom B'mromav Hu Yaseh Shalom Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael V'maru Amen. You may be seated, everyone. Shabbat Shalom, gang. It's wonderful to see you. We hope you enjoyed being here. I think this is the biggest crowd we've had since the pandemic began. You know, on high holidays, we're usually jammed, but everyone was home. We had like 5 people in the congregation. And then we've had B'nai Mitzvah, but they've had like 10, 12. This is definitely, I think, the biggest crowd we've had. Valerie would know, she's here. Valerie, is this the biggest crowd we've had? I think so. Yeah, it's great. It's great to see people again. And everybody stay safe and healthy and all that good stuff. But it's really a pleasure to see you all. Lily, look at all these people came out to see you. And I can't believe it, too, because if I were them, I would have stayed home to watch the Eagles tonight. Oh, right, the Eagles don't play tonight. I forgot. Gotcha. Right. Yeah, I'm sure. Anyway, it's a joy to see you all. Family and friends. Alexis and Chris, what a joy. Your scheme of things is you've got a bite, then you got a bar coming up. And Aaron, muzzle tough to you. Great day for you and all you and the family, grandparents, family, and friends. Real pleasure to have you. Tomorrow we're going to continue at 10 a.m. and it'll be very similar. You're probably sitting in the same seats. The books are there. The pamphlets are there. If you are having an aliyah tomorrow, we're asking you to go to the table there, the lectern that has the Torah blessings. And Lily's going to read from here. Family will be up here, but everyone else will be down there. If you have an English reading too, we're going to keep you over there. And we'll manage the beam up here, the cantor and I, and then the family. I think that's the story. Valerie, anything else to tell us tonight? Okay. Yeah, weather-wise, supposed to be pretty. Enjoy. Max, as always, thanks for your technical help. Lots of people are watching this at home. I want to thank the Kaganowskis for being our ushers tonight, and they're looking forward to their own simcha. Eliana's bar mitzvah Thanksgiving weekend, a few weeks from now. So that's pretty much what we're doing. When you go out, the Bentleys have a Shabbat beautiful gift of some food and goodies for you out on the table. You can each take that. And then drive carefully. We'll see you tomorrow, hopefully. And a mazel tov to you all. What a great simcha. I've been so proud this year. Pandemic has changed the way we do things. We've been on Zoom so much in small crowds, but we haven't missed a beat. We've had B'nai Mitzvah, we've had weddings. We've had services, we've had classes, we've had Hebrew school, and the younger ones are here every day. So I'm just so proud when someday people say, pandemic, I guess you didn't do anything Jewish, right? But no, we did. We did everything. And, you know, we soldiered on. We're really proud. And tomorrow we'll talk about it a little bit more, but tonight we really offer a blessing for his country. His country's going through a tough time right now. And I hope everything will sort itself out real soon, and we'll move ahead better than ever. And we'll see how things go, but we just hope we'll avoid the problems and the turmoil and the problems we've had. So we pray for our country and for everything. So Lily, you did magnificent tonight. Could not have done any better. We're so proud of you. And Mom and Dad and Aaron and all of you, just a joy, and we'll continue it tomorrow. So before you leave, I'd like to invite you to rise for a closing prayer. Lily, to you and to everybody. And again, if you're near loved ones, feel free to put your arms around them, because there's nothing like the love in our lives and the hugs and the kisses and all that good stuff. There you go, Mom. Come on over. There you go. She must not have challenged you too much. She brought you over here so easily. Really.
She has always been a challenge.
Yeah. Oh, here we go. I started something. Here we go. To all of you we say, and to Lily we bless you. Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. May the Lord bless you and keep you. Yair Adonai panav elecha v'choneka. May God be gracious to you and send you light. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lachem shalom. May God give us all the gift of peace. Amen. Shabbat shalom, everybody. Have a great night. Be careful. Lily,